Hello, I'm Ryan from Reading with My Eyes. This is going to be my TBR for April. I have selected 11 books. Last month I did read 10 out of the 11, so I'm pretty good. 10 to 11 this should be my what I read for the month. So the first book up is going to be A Beast, Stephen King's Salem. This is one I haven't read before. Stephen King's second published novel about vampires in a Maine town. Can you believe it's Maine? But should be a lot of fun. I've heard really good stuff. I haven't watched any of the movies either, so I'm going in kind of blind. I have read the short stories that were in Night Shift. So I'm reading Stephen King's Salem's Lot because I'm reading Monsters in the Archives by Caroline Bix. It is a book about Stephen King's writing, and it focuses on 5 of his novels and one of his short story collections. So it's going to be focused on Salem's Lot, Carrie, Night Shift, Pet Sematary, and The Shining. All books I read in the in like at least 5 years of doing this, so I'm pretty familiar, and that's the last book that I had to do, Salem's Lot. It is called Monsters in the Archives because he is letting Caroline Bix into his archives of all his old writing material, so she's looking at drafts that nobody's seen before, so it should be really cool. Alright, the next book is, this is going to be I, Medusa by Ayana Gray, and this is my wifely pick. This is where my wife picks my book. I've been reading a little bit too much horror. My wife doesn't read horror, so it's really good to mix it up. But this is I, Medusa, and so this is the telling of Medusa. So hopefully it's like Circe, which I loved. Circe, and both me and my wife love that one too, by Madeline Miller. I have heard really good stuff about this one. I know she's called Medi in this instead of Medusa, and so it looks cool. And I like Medusa. I like mythology, so it should be really good. Another book I'm going to read is Sue Watson, You, Me, Her, and so the blurb is 1 marriage, 3 people, 1 murder. This is a re-release that I got from Grand Central Publishing. They sent me this to read and review, but this is a re-release from their publication, so it should be pretty cool. Looking forward to this one. I've really been into mystery thrillers, and this one sounds like a good one, and I've had other people on Goodreads rate it that I'm familiar with and have rated it pretty high, so looking forward to that one. Alright, another one. I got this ARC for The Curse of Hester Gardens by Tamika Thompson. This ARC came out on March 31st, so not too many days about, from Kingston Press. To Jason Reynolds writing. Jason Reynolds wrote a horror, and I love Jason Reynolds. I'm a big fan of him. So that's really what got me to read this book. But it's supposed to be about ghost of gun violence in the projects. So it should be really cool, interesting horror that takes place in the projects, and it's like instead of a haunted house, it's like a haunted project. The next book I'm going to read is Empire of Silence. This is Christopher Ruocchio. His epic sci-fi, the Sun Eater Saga. Booktubers and bloggers and people that I listen to have raved about this and said it's incredible. He just finished his 7-book series, and so it's a good 7-book series. And I do have the novellas in between. Everybody recommends to read the novellas, but this is about a guy that blows up the sun, and he's a criminal to some, and he's a hero to others, and so it should be a very interesting book. All right, another book I'm going to read is going to be Serafina by Philip Fracassi. I have actually read this book, and it is incredible. It is a historical horror that is set in the Civil War, about 3 brothers deserting from the South, the Confederate Army, and they think they find paradise, but it's anything but. Serafina's a very witchy, biblical horror, but it's just really good. It's really good historical part and really good horror. So it's just a really good mix of both those. But definitely everybody should check it out. That comes out on April 7th, so it hasn't even came out yet. The next book I'm going to read is The Escape Book Game by Marissa Meyer and Tamara Moss. And that is going to be an arc that releases on April 7th. And it's about an escape game that is a TV show. And the season, it's on the 5th season. But the 4th season, somebody died during the production. And one girl, it was her sister, and she is coming back to the show. She was on the show, and she's coming back to the show to try to solve her murder and not really solve the games of the escape games. So she's basically trying to clear her name, and it should be a really interesting thing. I've never read Marissa Meyer, but that's one of my wife's favorites, and so I'm really looking forward to that one. Next book is going to be The Ending Writes Itself by Evelyn Clarke. So this is a dual novel by V. Schwab and Kat Clarke. V. Schwab is an author that I love. She's like a 4 to 5 star author for me. I've read most of her work, and everything that I've read I've loved. Kat Clarke is I believe she's a literary agent and screenwriter. And so she has not, she's written for television and film, but she's never written a novel. So this should be a pretty interesting combo. And it is about people that come to an island. They don't know why they are, but they've basically said that there could be a financial advance. And so they come to this island. They're all writers, and they find out that a famed novelist has died, and they need to write the ending to his book, the ending chapter, and they have 72 hours to do it. V. Schwab doesn't let me down, and I'm actually going to a signing release party for this book, Evelyn Clarke. So I will have some cool videos of that, and I'm getting it signed by both the authors. So it should be a lot of fun. Another book I'm going to read is I Know a Place by Nat Cassidy. This is a short story collection from Nat Cassidy. I have read a Nat Cassidy before, When the Wolf Comes Home, and I loved it. It was one of my favorite books of this quarter so far. Amazing storytelling. I know he wrote a novella that's included in this called Rest Stop that a lot of people really rave about, and that one comes out on May 5th by Shortwave. All right, next book is going to be Mongrels by Stephen Graham Jones. This is going to be my Monster of the Month. This year I have set out to read a werewolf novel every month, and this is going to be my werewolf novel of the month. I've been doing a reading of werewolf tales this whole year, and this is going to be a good werewolf novel. I've heard really good stuff about this one. Native Americans on a reservation that can turn into a werewolf. It's supposed to be just a really interesting take on the werewolf genre. And I actually posted on Blue Sky that I wanted recommendations for werewolf novels, because I was doing this reading a werewolf novel a month, and that was the top suggestion. So really looking forward to that. I've read My Heart of the Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. All right, guys, so that's my TBR. That is the 11 books that I am hoping to read. Let me know if you guys have read any of them, if you're excited for any of them, in the comments below. Thank you guys. If you guys could like, subscribe, all that stuff. I'm Ryan. I love books. I love talking about books. So join me on this channel, and we can talk about books together.